and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. John Cornett is standing by in the wings to play our campaign theme song. Howdy, John. We have Casper Leach. He'll be co-hosting the show. And a guest, Sean Savage. We're going to focus on industrial hemp this evening. It's going to be, all the ballots just came in the mail. Here's one now. So they just arrived today. Check your mailbox. If it didn't come today, it'll come tomorrow. Now is the time for you to get ready to vote. But first, we're going to bring out our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
Feel the force.
All right, here is Mr. John Cornett.
This is by a special request for Mr. Paul Stanford. Now is the time. The time is now to tell the truth. To hear the truth, to know the truth, to know the truth. Oppressive lies and fantasies isn't how it has to be. And ignorance throwing stones like so many brainless clothes. Sound the alarm, re-educate. Sound the alarm, investigate, investigate. Now is the time for the truth. Speak the truth, to seek the truth, to be the truth, to be the truth. Corporations, governments are rarely ever innocent. Dissension is the only way. Live to see another day. Sound the alarm, investigate, investigate. Sound the alarm, re-educate, re-educate. Now is the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Sound the alarm, the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Yes on 80, please.
All right. Thank you, John. That's a wonderful song. Now is the time.
Inspired by this show.
I know. I appreciate that. I'd like to welcome Sean Savage. Hey, Sean.
Hey, how you
welcome to the
doing?
show. Very well. And hey, how are you, Casper? We are here on the verge of our big election. Our ballots just went out. The people are starting to receive them today. In fact, a couple of people in the studio voted today. You have your opportunity to vote. Get your ballot, open it up, and vote yes on 80. You know, we are going to be talking mainly about industrial hemp tonight, but we have a phone call that's been standing by. Let's go ahead and take that phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Howdy. I just got done voting for your measure,
Thank you.
and I have two questions.
Go right ahead.
One is, has the state come up with any prices on what this would be selling for in one of their state-run stores?
No. The new commission will do that, and they'll set the price to discourage illegal import and export of cannabis under this new law. I anticipate that it'll be under $100, perhaps. We can't say for certain right now because the price will be set once farmers have cultivated it. We're going to equitably distribute the licenses among all applicants. So I think the price will be a little higher at first while it's illegal in Idaho, Nevada, California. But as the surrounding states start to regulate it, I think the price will come down even lower. Medical patients won't have to pay a tax, so the price will be very low. But adults over the age of 21 who don't have a doctor's recommendation or prescription will be taxed. It'll be less than $100 an ounce, but I'm not sure exactly what that price will be at this point.
Okay, and my second question is, what would this do for drug testing in the workplace?
It really wouldn't affect drug testing in the workplace. You know, some employers can fire people who test positive for tobacco because of the increased health costs associated with tobacco use. I think over time we'll see those laws start to change, but we did not address the workplace safety expert. You know, a lot of people say we go too far anyway, and so we really didn't want to raise that issue and intrude between the employer and the employee.
Okay, well then thank you for the answers.
Sure, you're welcome.
All right.
We definitely considered, especially at the last minute, adding some sort of clause in there, but decided it would hurt us if we in fact did that. How are you doing, Casper?
Outstanding. It's been a fun week. I can also say it's been interesting, all the information I'm seeing on Measure 80 coming across the news. It looks like the word is getting out, and people are starting to realize how important it is to become part of history by getting out and getting that vote and making certain that your friends do as well. This is the time now. Do not ignore those ballots that are in the mail. Don't let them sit too long. And when it comes to Measure 80, let everybody know that this is more or less a history-making vote that's going to change the paradigm of the human race. Like you said, it's going to bring the wall down, and we're going to be changing the prohibition, and we're going to start creating products and jobs here in Oregon that will ultimately let the rest of the country know how important it is to end prohibition. So I've been pretty excited about the good news I've seen on the internet.
And Sean Savage, we've been working together for almost 20 years now.
Almost
I know
20 years,
when you
yeah.
were down at, initially I was with my hemp paper company out in the Hillsboro, Aloha area. And you were at OSU running the hemp club at first.
Right.
That's when we first met, about
Yeah.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah, it's been a long time. And when I was with the hemp club, I learned so much about hemp. And for me, Measure 80 is really an environmental and economic measure rather than a marijuana measure.
Yeah, I really believe the hemp aspect is going to dwarf marijuana. I've been saying that from the very beginning.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, later in the presentation, I will even show you that the amount of money that hemp can bring in to the farmers is huge.
Yeah, it is.
It's huge.
300 from the same acre, you can get over 300 gallons of oil. And that's just from tests on feral hemp, not with new hemp strains that we'll be developing. And by the way, our initiative says that we won't take the THC content as the sole determining factor on what qualifies as hemp. It'll be the varieties of cannabis that produce the most quantity and the best quality of hemp oil, fiber, and protein. So that'll be the sole qualification. As I've said on this show many times, the reason that they allow low THC hemp in Canada and Europe is what they've done to lower the THC content is they bred out the flowers. By breeding out the flowers, they've bred out the seed production, and the seed is what we need. It's where the oil and the protein are, and that's the most valuable part.
Some economics on it.
I know you're still working on some of your computer stuff there.
Right.
So maybe we'll be able to show those in a second. But I know we have another phone call, too. Welcome to the show, caller. Oh, they're gone. Well, we tried. Well, if you have a question for us tonight, you can call us at that number that just popped up on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. What were you going to say, Captain?
I have a question. How is it that anybody in their right mind could think that any type of legislation pertaining to hemp production would go too far? I think the only regulations that should be placed upon this plant should be the type that are on corn or soybean, i.e. no regulation.
Well, you know, that's the reason they've pushed this dwarf hemp, this low THC hemp, is because it doesn't compete in the fuel market. And that's the main reason that marijuana is prohibited. The whole drug issue is a smokescreen. So I like to say, pardon the pun. It's really about suppressing hemp fuel and suppressing hemp fiber.
One of the interesting things I did in my research is I found out that what the most important crop that hemp will produce is food. Not human food, but animal food. Okay?
Well, it's still useful as human food. In fact, we have some human food right here. And it has all 8 of the amino acids that we need, and it's very tasty.
It's very good.
It has all the essential fatty acids, and it has the essential fatty acid profile, the omega-3, 6, and 9, and the amino acid protein profile that completely matches human nutritional needs better than any other food on the planet, better than meat, better than fish.
I have some slides on that too.
Oh, good, good.
You know, one of the things is Paul and I have been working for many years on this together, and as such, he says things, I do research on it.
All right, we have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hello. Yes,
Howdy.
I'm a 60-year-old woman, and I'm a holder. But I was wondering how, if it would be state-run, you were talking like farmers and that, how would it affect the individual grower? And,
well, our initiative says that the licenses will be equitably distributed among all applicants, and that the state has to sell cannabis to meet the grade and quality, to meet market demand. And so under our law, any individual will be able to grow their own without a license, fee, or regulation. The farmer would be able to cultivate hemp for oil, fiber, and protein without, again, and that's seed oil, without a license fee or registration. And if you want to sell the marijuana, then you would have to get a license, pay a fee, and register. And so the list is private. That's initially set up that way so that we can't, people won't be afraid the federal government's going to get this list. The state of Oregon has kept the medical marijuana list private from federal inquiries. So for the individual growers out there today, they'll be able to apply for a license, and those licenses will be distributed among all the applicants. So if you apply for a license, you'll get one, and then you just have to follow the rules and regulations. And then I think it'll be akin to the tobacco allotments in the Southeast, where a farmer will get an allotment to grow 1 acre of cannabis, 1 acre of tobacco, and they'll have 500 other acres, and they'll make more money off 1 acre of tobacco than they do off all their other crops. So I think it'll be that way.
Oh, that sounds good. And also, I would be interested on getting recipes. Is there any general line where they have that you send out recipes?
You know, yeah, we have some recipes in our clinic. You know, we have a clinic where doctors help patients get medical marijuana permits, and I want to thank all the patients that have come to the THCF Medical Clinic, because it's been your support that's allowed us to put this on the ballot. You know, all the money came from patients who came to our clinic, and we took a little bit of that and we're able to pay petitioners and pay for this campaign. And that's funded about 98% of the campaign. The only other large donor has been Dr. Bronner's Soap, who gave $5,000. A lady in Corvallis has given...
that was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like she's
the quality at the stores isn't what the quality you can get from home growers, you know.
Well, our thing is that it has to meet the market demand. So that means that people have a choice, and they'll determine what the quality is. And then the packages that will be sold in the state stores have to say the THC and CBD content, and list and certify that it's pure from adulterants and mold and pesticide, and list any health warnings. We will fund a lot of new studies into the way cannabis affects the human body, and those scientific studies will be reported in pamphlets at the new state licensed stores.
That's one
Good.
thing.
Well, I got my ballot today, and my son, so we've got 2 here, so all right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I think people need to realize who is in opposition to this bill. It's primarily the prison guard industry and the people who make money off of incarcerating people for a plant. And I think instead of doing that, we should be putting people into jobs programs and into educational institutions.
Yeah, if you look in the voters pamphlet statement, you'll see it's the Association of Chiefs of Police, the Association of Sheriffs, and the Association of District Attorneys that are the ones that have opposed us. And the only other ones that are really opposing us are some of the illegal drug dealers. They don't want to see competition over price and quality and the regulating the market. They want to remain free from the market and have these artificially jacked up high prices. You know, the price for growing outdoors is going to be a lot cheaper. It is a lot cheaper than growing indoors, and it's a lot more sustainable. So I believe the price will come down dramatically, and that's going to be good for the consumer.
And I'd like to jump in and remind people, if they go to leap.cc, which stands for Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, you will find a variety of former members of our police departments, from DEA agents to chiefs of police and former sheriffs, that have come out and said that this policy of keeping the prohibition intact is insane and it needs to end. So there is a rational voice out there. You just need to look for it.
That's true. So we have another phone caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, I'm kind of following along with what you were talking about just a second ago.
Sure.
I think a lot of the opposition is coming from the DEA and alcohol and tobacco and pharmaceutical industries.
Yeah.
I also like to call them rackets.
Yeah.
But I think it's because, and the thing to keep in the forefront of the argument is it's because no one has ever died from cannabis.
That's right.
And it has no side effects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
completely
you know,
non-toxic.
Yeah. So that's why they're opposing it, because, they can't argue against that. And
in fact, it has health benefits. It's a strong antioxidant to fight cancer. It's an anti-inflammatory, so it actually aids longevity. If you don't have that inflammatory response, that's what accelerates aging. So both of those, there are a lot of people out there that don't like that. And so it has health benefits where A lot of these other things don't, especially tobacco.
Yeah, like in drug years, I'm 102. Look at me.
My parents always said, relating back to the police against it, consider the source. You know,
Right.
if you know who has something to lose. You know, and really they're not losing anything. That because they can put their emphasis on other crimes.
Right.
And you know, that's where I think that the savings will be. But they're against it because they think there will be a reduction in jobs.
Yeah, and even the
In their
president-
jobs, but
In
there'll
their
be
jobs.
a huge growth in,
Huge growth,
in other
yeah.
jobs, and we can have them concentrating on real criminals instead of us.
And even the prison industry, who seems all stressed out about losing their candidates for those prison cells. I think it's insane that we're turning loose people who have committed robberies and rape and all kinds of violent crimes because
Yeah.
there's,
government has denied our farmers the right.
because there's not enough room in our prison cells to keep them because of all the non-violent drug offenders that we've locked up.
One argument, too, in the voters' pamphlet, they're saying that they don't want people growing near schools. But right now you have liquor stores and convenience stores selling alcohol and tobacco a block away from schools.
Yeah, that's true. No one
So-
complains about that.
Yeah.
And-
So you've got this whole culture, you know, I mean, we have to keep up this part of the argument. You know, cannabis nobody's ever died from cannabis and has no side effects and all this, you know. I mean,
Well, yeah, and the point you bring out, too, by having this prohibition intact means instead of having marijuana being available 3 blocks down from the school under a taxed and licensed program, we can now buy it in the schools right next door to the person who's taking the math test.
Yeah,
You
that's
can-
true. Now it's the kids selling it to other kids
Exactly.
in the school. You know, during alcohol prohibition, it was the same thing. You know, we don't see people out on the street corner or kids selling beer because you can go to the store and legitimately buy it. And there's product liability laws and safety issues concerned with that.
And most of the growing will be out in the country anyway.
That's right.
You
that's
know,
right. And the
because-
farmers will be the main benefactors.
Yeah. I did some research. It costs about $500 to $600 to grow an acre of hemp. Okay? And that's from the Ontario publication
study, yeah.
and from the Oregon State publication.
We're going to have Andrea Herman on the show on November 16th. She's the new president of the North American Hemp Industry Association and has been working with Hemp Oil Canada for a number of years.
and it's just like alcohol. You know, people can brew their own alcohol in their own homes, you know.
That's right.
And it's their own private business, you know, and that's...
Yeah, they can also grow their own tobacco. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
anybody who's ever grown there. Maybe one guy down in Texas who grew his own tobacco, but that's about it.
Off
cannabis
of
is so much-
Indiana, I know a few people who grow the tobacco out in their backyard.
Oh, okay.
And,
but not
you know,
many.
cannabis is so much safer, and this is the most important part of the argument on that, I think, to keep bringing that out.
That's true. Very good point.
So, anyway,
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
your
your-
call. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks
it.
a lot.
We have another caller. We're going to take that, and then we'll be back with a film clip right after that. But let's go ahead and take another call. Hello, caller. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I have like a two-part question. If number 80 passes, what's going to keep the federal government from coming in and doing something about it? And second of all, what if I wanted to buy stock in it? And, I'm getting sorry. If I wanted to buy stock in it, would that be available? If so, what if they came in and shut it down? What would happen to that money?
Well, that's two good questions. The first question is, and thank you for your phone call. Your first question is, what about the federal government, and aren't they going to come in and shut it down? Your second question is, if you invest in a company that is selling marijuana under state law, what if the federal government comes in and closes it down, and what happens to your investment? Well, first of all, the issue of federal control, we specifically wrote Measure 80 to be upheld in the inevitable federal court challenge it'll face after passage. We did that in 3 ways. We have a preamble. You can read it in the voter pamphlet statement. The 7 whereases, those are findings by the people. And the people are the sovereign, the rulers in our society. So we have these 7 findings based on historical, scientific, legal, and constitutional issues. on a historic basis, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, they grew marijuana or hemp, and Thomas Jefferson invented a device to process hemp stems into canvas, rope, lace, and linen. The founding fathers, George Washington wrote the Secretary of Treasury and encouraged Alexander Hamilton to come up with a policy encouraging the cultivation of hemp. Then on the scientific basis, it produces more fuel, more fiber, more food, and more medicine than any other plant on the planet. On the legal basis, we quote 3 different state Supreme Court rulings. In Alaska, it was Raven versus State from 1975. In Michigan, the People versus John Sinclair, who was on the show a few weeks ago. And in Hawaii, it was Cantor versus the state of Hawaii. That was Paul Cantor back in 1972 of the rock and roll band Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Starship. And then the Presidential Commission findings. All of those Supreme Court findings and this Schaefer Commission on marijuana back in 1972 as well, they all said that marijuana is a lot safer than alcohol, and that even long-term heavy users of cannabis don't deviate significantly from their peers in terms of mental functioning. So we outlined those and constitutional issues based on the 9th and 10th Amendments to the United States Constitution, but we relied on the Oregon constitutional provisions because the federal Supreme Court has ruled that Oregon's Constitution gives us more rights than the federal Constitution does. So based on those, we implemented a system of controls based on international treaty. We take the licensing scheme directly from international treaties. And the federal courts hold that international treaties carry the same weight as the Constitution itself. So, and then last but not least, there's a clause in the Controlled Substances Act, which is Title 21 of the United States Code, or USC, at Section 903. So the actual citation is 21 USC 903. Get your pencil if you want to write that down. I'll say it again here in a minute. Anyway, at Section 903 of the Controlled Substances Act, it says that state law supersedes federal law and that the federal government isn't going to intrude in the domain that's controlled by the state. So based on those 3 instances, we wrote this to be upheld in federal court. And I think you can look at the death with dignity law for an example. Back in 1994, the people of Oregon passed the death with dignity law, which allows doctors to prescribe pentobarbital for terminally ill patients to aid in committing suicide. The federal government came in and enjoined that law and wouldn't let it go into effect, and it was fast-tracked through the federal court system. And then the Supreme Court of the United States upheld it 2 years later in Gonzalez versus Oregon. I've always believed that the federal government will come in and enjoin our law. Right now we also see laws on the ballot in Washington and Colorado. And so we wrote our law specifically to be upheld in federal court. The other initiatives in Washington, Colorado really didn't address that. So ours stands a stronger chance of being upheld in that inevitable federal court challenge it will face after passage. Quickly to deal with that second question, if you invest in a company and it goes belly up, you lose your money. That's the way it works in the capitalist system. So if you invest in a company and it doesn't do well, you lose your money. I know the director of our show, Bill Appel, he invested money into Washington Mutual Bank. That went belly up, he lost his money. Same thing would be true if you invest in a company for marijuana, whether the feds closed them down or they just didn't do well. If you invest in a company and it doesn't stay in business, you lose your money. So be careful where you invest your money. That's the golden rule here. Did you want to jump in?
Well, this is one of the reasons why the federal government is so terrified of the idea of Measure 80 being a success in the state of Oregon. There have been a handful of opponents that have encouraged the Justice Department to get a little more aggressive in trying to shut down the Measure 80 and bringing forward its success. And people, again, need to realize that the opposition that we're facing is a group of people who enjoy incarcerating, and that's their answer to everything. And the people who are behind this are people who want to see medical marijuana continue to flourish, but they also want to see jobs come to this state. They're interested in producing good quality products that can compete on open markets. And you have people like the Attorney General of this state and the Senator of this state, mayors who are running for office, who are currently in office, who are all for this bill, because they realize that not only can jobs come from this, and not only can good products be produced from this, that Oregon has an opportunity to lead the nation and eventually the world
and
in
the
ending
marketplace,
prohibition.
you know, and put us on the cutting edge of exciting new ecologically sustainable developments.
One of the interesting things I found, you talked about hemp seed oil. Right now, there hasn't been many studies in it. You know, there's one from Feral Hemp in Illinois from '75. Also, there is a one from Ontario, which sort of says the cost, and Oregon State did one back in 2011. We talk about hemp seed oil, and we get some, you know,
and it's a biofuel and nutritious. You know, it's something that you can take a marijuana seed, press it for its oil, take that oil, pour it right into any diesel engine, and turn the key. And right now, even given the dwarf hemp in Canada, which produces about 1/20th as much as the feral wild hemp in the central United States produces, it's cheaper to produce plastic, and it's non-toxic to produce plastic from hemp seed oil than it is to produce it from petroleum.
And you need to ask yourself why it is that if your granddaddy could grow this and your great-granddaddy can grow this, why it is that we can't grow this today.
Well, not only that, it's the oldest crop. I mean, you go back to Mesopotamia, you go back to ancient China, the cradles of civilization and writing, and both of those civilizations on opposite flanks of the indigenous area that hemp came from, the Himalaya mountains in Kashmir and Tibet and Nepal, Afghanistan. It had spread in its cultivation from the Himalayas to Mesopotamia and China at least 5,000 years ago, probably more than 12,000 years ago, and some people say 30,000 years ago. So we're talking about the oldest crop and the most productive crop, the one that produces more oil, more protein, more fiber than any other, and that's the one that's illegal. That is wrong, and we are going to right that wrong with Measure 80. You know, we're going to run a video real quick, and maybe we can get some technical glitches worked out here during that, but this video is disturbing. I've got to tell you, this is a song written by Toronto performer Lindy, and it's a very powerful song. But the video that accompanies this song, No Knock Raid is the name of this song. Some of our long-term viewers know this. Shows people being murdered, police in these SWAT teams killing people's pets in front of their children, and people opening their doors and being shot right there. And in all of the cases in this video, these are raids on the wrong house. And the people who are being shot and killed and raided, they're in the wrong place. And so this is what happens. We have 50 to 70,000 of these no-knock raids. In fact, I just read a story last week where a 9-year-old girl was asleep in her bedroom and the no-knock raid people threw a flash grenade and it blew up right next to her and had 2nd and 3rd degree burns, and she was in the hospital. That is the result. And they came in this case, they were in the house that they targeted, but there was no evidence of the actual crime. So this poor girl was injured, her family devastated because the police had wrong information. And so here is this video, and this is why we are working for Measure 80. Enjoy.
Glad that in this administration we have increased the amount of money for handling the problem of dangerous drugs 7-fold. It will be $600 million this year. More money will be needed in the future. I want to say, however, that despite our budget problems, to the extent money can help in meeting the problem of dangerous drugs, it will be available. This is one area where we cannot have budget cuts because we must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. We'll shoot your dogs in front of your kids, 'cause we are the SWAT. We're here for your pot and all the cash that you've got. We are adrenaline junkies taking orders from the top. They'll make you disappear like in Guantanamo Bay. In the middle of the night, you'll have nothing to say. If we get the wrong address, it doesn't matter anyway. We'll still get our kicks, we'll still have our fun. Yeah, we are the SWAT, we are adrenaline junkies till the drugs are all gone. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. You do the time for your victimless crime. It's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid. Don't be afraid. You shoot my dog! You shoot the fucking dog! Oh my God! This is a war, and this is your fate. We are the face of your new police state. We are the law, and we've got the guns. Statutory power, mandatory minimums. We are the SWAT, we're here for your part and all the cash that you got. We are adrenaline junkies taking orders from the czar. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. You do the time for your victimless crime. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. Flash bang on the ground, don't hear a sound. Could be you, could be the mayor of your town. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid.
So as that video said, 70 to 80,000 SWAT raids. In that last video, it showed this man just 2 years ago who got off a 12-hour shift at his job. He had been home for 2 hours. The police kicked in his door and shot him 37 times. He was shot 37 times while he was asleep on his couch. And that's the result of the war on drugs. And it's mainly a war on marijuana. It's a war on us. And that's what we're here to stop. So we have a question from our phone call. Yeah, it's the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, elite, fascist, ruling class. We have a question from our audience member. Welcome to our show.
Hey, Paul. This is LK. Hey, I just want to thank you for everything you've done to get us to Measure 80. Everybody out there that's listening to this, I've been going out every day from 420 to 520, standing on an overpass with a yes on.
I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen him.
Yes, yes
and
on 80
a lot of
signs.
Other people.
And
because that's about the only advertising we can afford.
and we need the help, guys. So if you can give an hour, get a sign, go to an overpass, stand up, because it's a time to make history, guys. We did it with prohibition on alcohol first in Oregon, and we can do it first with marijuana here in the state of Oregon. But we need to get off of the couch and go out and give an hour, guys. That's all we got to do. Thank you, Paul, for everything you've done, bro.
Hey,
giving us the opportunity.
Pleasure. It's things like those poor people you just watched in that video and others that really motivate me. And I want to thank our patients who've come to our clinics that have allowed us to put this on the ballot, put it up for a vote. We're going to take a call from a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hey there.
Howdy.
Yeah, so I had a question about bordering states. So say if a Oregon citizen, if 80 passes, and an Oregon citizen is pulled over in Idaho, Nevada, or
It'd be
Washington
illegal in
if the
Idaho and
law's
Nevada.
not passed.
Now in Washington, Washington has I-502, but they have a 1 ounce limit. So it would be legal for you to be in Washington if I-502 passes and have up to 1 ounce. So as long as you don't go over that 1 ounce limit. Now our initiative really doesn't set a specific limit on the amount you can have or the number of plants you can cultivate. Our initiative says that it just has to be non-commercial. And so you just have to say it's for personal use. If you had more than a personal use quantity, then you might be in trouble in Washington State too, especially if you have over 1 ounce. That would be illegal in Washington State, even once I-502 passes. But it will remain illegal in Idaho, Nevada, California, because they don't have initiatives to pass this year. And so you could be arrested in those states.
Okay, gotcha. All right, good to know.
All right, thanks for calling. Now, Sean, you've been working on a presentation about hemp and the difference between hemp and cannabis, and I think we can pull these screens up. We've been dealing with some technical glitches, but let's go ahead and see if we can.
Taiwan.
Oh.
Oh.
That doesn't look, oh, there.
There, okay. Well, one of the big things that I have is people say, oh, you just want marijuana. And I'm saying, wait a second. I mean, marijuana is like dogs. Canis lupus familiaris, dog, okay?
Yeah.
When you think of a dog, what do you think of, okay? It's still one species, but they're very, very different, okay? A St. Bernard is not a dachshund, okay? Hemp is cannabis, but it's very, very different. It's very, very different than marijuana, okay? They're grown different. The genetics are different. Nurture or nature, it's different, okay? One thing is if you want fiber, you grow it very close together with very low effort. You plant acres of this, takes very little. If you want seed, you need a little more room, and it's still low effort because you're growing a huge amount. Finally, if you're growing medicine or marijuana, you have it far apart so you get the most bud, and it's a very labor-intensive growing. So it's different, okay? Now, one of the things that is interesting, if you can see how big these seeds are, they're maybe 3 millimeters to 4 millimeters. Yet if you look at a good size seed, you can see there may be 5 millimeters. So almost half again as big, half again as heavy. Okay? So what I've got here is on this slide, I've got sort of what it can be used for. There's seed, fiber, biomass, and medicine.
So let's go back to your slides there. Maybe we'll get that worked out.
Okay.
Take the CGs off there.
Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm because there are so many different variations on what hemp is, I'm putting 500 kilograms per acre, okay? From that, you get about 400 kilograms of seed cake, which is a high protein meal, so to speak, and about 8 barrels of hemp oil, 9 barrels of biodiesel, because it takes a little bit more to make it. Now, I predict within 10 years, we'll be getting 12 barrels per oil, if not more. Because due to the genetics and agribusiness, you want to maximize your production. Okay, so what I've done is this is sort of the whole situation. From cannabis seed, you hull it, unhulled, which is just raw seed. You press it, you get oil, you get animal food. Unhulled also makes human food. You hull it, you have a beautiful taste, wonderful nutty. You press it, you get oil, you get hemp powder or hemp flour, or you get a high protein food, which is very digestible. Now compared to here, you see here's a whole hemp seed, a hulled hemp seed, and soybeans. And as you can see, 31 grams per 100 grams and 34 grams per 100 grams of protein. Okay?
But hemp seed is more digestible. And soy protein, some of it can't be digested by people, where hemp seed protein perfectly matches humans' nutritional needs, and it's completely digestible.
Okay, and if you look at this, you know, the oils, the GLA, the fiber, look how much fiber per 100 grams you get compared to soybeans. Calcium is a little bit lower, phosphorus, iron. So this is sort of the nutritional value. Okay, this is what the hulled hemp seeds look like. Okay, this is a handful of hemp seeds. This is hemp seed grow. Okay.
We got about 10 minutes.
Great. And
for the end of the show.
So what I've done there is I've given a basic demonstration. Now for the economics. For the economics, what you've got, okay, we're basically talking, it costs about $500 to grow an acre of hemp. At 300 gallons, at $3 a barrel, you get $900.
$3 a gallon, right.
$3 a gallon, which is below diesel cost. Okay, for corn prices, it's about $8 a bushel, about 15 cents a pound. At 6,000 pounds, that's about $900. So now what you've got, and at soybeans, which I would consider more equivalent because of the protein value of it, is about $15 a barrel. So now you're talking $1,500. So what you're talking about, $2,400, $1,900 profit per acre. And right now, corn is getting maybe $50 to
$50, and wheat $10 an acre. So farmers are just dying to have this crop, and Measure 80 will give it to them. So I just urge you folks out there to help us pass Measure 80. We're going to run a little video right now, and this is Dr. Philip Levesque. We want to send him some prayers. He just broke his hip last week, so he's recuperating. And here's Dr. Levesque. We recorded this about 3 weeks ago. We'll be right back. Here he is. Maybe.
Hello, I'm Dr. Philip Levesque.
How many more slides?
When I was a combat infantryman in World War II, our government paid American farmers to grow hemp for the war. Today, the federal government has denied our farmers the right to grow hemp. Until we end the war on marijuana, farmers will be unable to grow hemp for fuel, fiber, and food. Measure 80 will allow our farmers to grow this valuable crop once again and create thousands of new jobs for Oregon's economy. The time is now. Vote yes for Measure 80.
All right, the ballots have dropped. They're now in your mailbox. If they're not in your mailbox today, they'll be in your mailbox tomorrow. We need you to fill this out, mail it in, or you can take it in to one of the drop boxes of the county elections office so we can restore industrial hemp and regulate and tax this market, create tens of thousands of new jobs. You know, here in Oregon, the wine industry is a $3 billion a year industry employing tens of thousands of people in agriculture, finance, retail. The craft brewing industry is a $2 billion a year industry, employing thousands of people as well. So together, they amount to a $5 billion a year industry just for the state of Oregon, bringing money into our state and keeping money here in our local economy. In fact, our Department of Motor Vehicles has just come out with new license plates last year called Wine Country. Even though people are dying from alcohol and driving, we don't talk about the Wine Country license plate sending the wrong message or anything. So we urge you to support Measure 80 and to vote now. let's see. We got another phone call? No? Okay.
You know what my favorite wine is?
What's your favorite wine?
I need another joint.
That's good. That was a good one. You know, we have some hemp seeds here, and these are available at our clinic. And, you know, for folks out there, we think this law is likely to be enjoined. So if you have a medical marijuana permit, you should probably keep it. You can pick up some of these hemp seeds at our local clinics, and they're very nutritious, as Sean was just talking. And you're eating those?
Oh, yes, yes.
These are the whole hemp seeds. They're pretty crunchy.
They're pretty crunchy.
But they have a lot of fiber, and fiber is good for you.
Yes, it has more fiber than soybeans.
Right.
There's a lot of politicians out there that need a lot of fiber.
Yeah, they don't have much moral fiber often, unfortunately.
Well, they're just so full. Well, anyway.
One of the things, like we were talking about how much, right now there's been really no studies on hemp, okay, on how much you can get. And from 1960 to 2009, the production of corn tripled per acre. Tripled per acre. So given that, if we're getting something around 300 barrels right now, in 20 years, we can probably be getting 900 barrels.
Mm-hmm.
Or 900 gallons, 900 gallons per acre. And that's considering, multiply that, which is basically 3 times.
It's more productive than any other seed oil crop by a factor of at least 3 to 1. Soybeans, rapeseed or canola, and sunflower seeds each produce about 100 to 120 gallons per acre. Feral wild hemp here in the United States produces over 300 gallons an acre. And then once we start breeding for hemp seed and we don't worry about the THC content, we're just worried about the seed production and its quality and quantity, then I think we'll see that number grow, perhaps far beyond 300 gallons. You know, the sky's the limit.
You know, according to the what we've got now, I expect about 900 gallons in 20 years.
Be surprised.
And that's a huge improvement.
That's true. So, anything you want to say in closing here, Casper?
Well, it is important that people, now that the ballots are out, not only do they make it a point to vote yes on Measure 80, you need to start ringing up your friends now, again, and remind them the importance of being part of this historic vote. We are really focused on the industrial aspect of it, and we do also want to end the opportunities for the black market to grow. And the only way that can happen is if Measure 80 is a success in this state. The other aspect of it is it truly will be leading the nation. And when historians look back upon this time in history and realize what the people in Oregon did, the people in Oregon will be considered true heroes, not just of this era, but of the future.
One of the things, I know that you're hurting on money, so I'd like to make a donation to you today.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And remember,
that's your second $500 donation. I appreciate that. Every $500 helps. Thank you, Sean.
What I'd really like to do...
If you're out there and you would like to make a donation, you can go to our website. It's vote80.org. That's vote80.org. Or you can go to Octa 2012. They'll both take you to the same place. It's easier to remember, vote80.org.
And remember, in order to make this pass, get out, get your friends, talk to your friends, and make donations. You know, that's...
If you can't afford to make a donation, though, make sure everyone you know knows that we need to pass this thing. And you can come down and volunteer with our banner and sign holding campaign as well. Just give us a call at that number on your screen, 503-235-4606. We're down to just 2 minutes left. Do you want to say anything in closing?
Vote yes.
What about you, Casper?
Check out Time for Hemp on AmericanFreedomRadio.com every Monday through Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and let your friends know how important it is to take Time for Hemp.
Thank you for watching. Tune in next week. Next week will be our last show before the ballots are counted on November 6th. Get out there, vote, help us pass Measure 80, and help us restore hemp. Good night.
By voting yes on 80.
Yeah.
She comes to me, gives me sight. For 10,000 the flames, says come to me, I can heal your pain. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. Save from hell in the fire of the night, free my soul and clear my sight. She comes to me, gives me sight, she holds me up in the heat of the fight. She's my Rosa Parks, cold